She lost everything. But God still saw her. The story of Ruth. The phone rang at 11:47 p.m. That's when everything ended. Not with screaming. Not with broken dishes or slammed doors. Just a voice on the other end saying 3 words that split her world in half. I'm not coming home. By morning, Sarah wasn't a wife anymore. By Wednesday, the bank called about the house. By Friday, she was signing papers that made her invisible. Erasing 10 years like they were pencil marks on a page that needed to be clean again. The lawyer slid the final document across the table. Her hand trembled as she signed her maiden name. A name she'd almost forgotten how to write. 1. The unraveling. The apartment smelled like someone else's cooking. 1 room. A window that faced a brick wall. A mattress on the floor because furniture costs money she didn't have anymore. Her mother arrived with 2 garbage bags of clothes and a Bible she didn't ask for. You'll need this, she said, setting it on the counter. Sarah stared at it like it was written in a language she used to speak but had forgotten. I prayed, Mom. I prayed for years. Her mother's face crumpled. I know, baby. I know. At church, they whispered around her like she was made of glass. The women hugged too long. The men looked away. Someone said, God's just preparing you for something better. She wanted to scream. Better than what? Better than the life I fought for. Better than the promises we made? But she nodded. Smiled. Said thank you. Because that's what you do when you're drowning and people throw you prayers instead of life jackets. To the valley. She found work at a call center. Cubicles. Fluorescent lights. 8 hours of strangers yelling about billing errors while she apologized for problems she didn't create. She ate lunch alone in her car. Sometimes she cried so hard she fogged the windows. Sometimes she just sat, too tired even for tears. The nights were the worst. That's when the thoughts came, the ones that whispered she wasn't enough. Wasn't pretty enough. Wasn't interesting enough. Wasn't woman enough to keep him. She'd scroll through his Instagram and see him smiling with someone new, someone younger, someone who didn't carry the weight of broken vows in her eyes. One night, she stood in the shower until the water ran cold, and she whispered the kind of prayer that feels like surrender. God, I don't even know if you're listening anymore. But if you are, if you still see me, I need you to show me I'm not invisible. The water dripped. The room stayed silent. She wrapped herself in a towel and wondered if prayers from broken people even make it past the ceiling. 3. The call. 3 weeks later, her phone buzzed. A name she hadn't seen in months, Aunt Naomi. The voicemail was short. Shaky. Sarah, honey. I don't want to be a burden. But I'm in the hospital. Stage 3. They say I'll need help after chemo. I know you've got your own stuff, but if you could. The message cut off. Sarah sat on the edge of her mattress and stared at the wall. She had nothing. No savings. No space. No energy. But she had a yes. She picked Naomi up on a Tuesday. The woman who used to fill rooms with laughter now folded into the passenger's seat like paper. Her scarf covered a head that had lost its hair. Her hands shook when she tried to buckle the seatbelt. "You didn't have to do this," Naomi whispered. Sarah reached over and squeezed her hand. "Where you go? I go. Remember? You told me that at my wedding." Naomi's eyes filled with tears. "That was before everything fell apart." Sarah's voice cracked. "Then it's a good thing God specializes in broken things." 4. Gleaning. They moved Naomi into Sarah's tiny apartment. The mattress on the floor became 2 sleeping bags side by side. Sarah worked double shifts, mornings at the call center, evenings cleaning offices downtown. On her knees scrubbing floors, she thought of Ruth, the widow who gleaned in fields that didn't belong to her. The woman who gathered leftovers and called it provision. Maybe that's what this was. Maybe faithfulness looked like showing up even when your hands were empty. Even when your heart was shattered. Even when no one was watching except God. Naomi's treatments were brutal. There were nights Sarah held a basin, while Naomi threw up bile and prayers in equal measure. Nights when Naomi cried so hard she couldn't breathe, whispering, "Why didn't he just take me with my husband? Why am I still here?" And Sarah, exhausted and undone, would whisper back, "Because I need you. Because maybe God kept you here for me." Days blurred into weeks, but small mercies began to appear, like crumbs leading her out of the dark. One Friday, Sarah's manager called her into the office. She thought she was being fired. Instead, he slid an envelope across the desk. "Someone made an anonymous donation to our employee relief fund. It's earmarked for you. 3 months' rent." Sarah stared at the check. "Who?" "I don't know. But someone's been watching. Someone saw." That night, she sat on the floor of her apartment and opened the Bible her mother had left. The pages fell open to Ruth. She read about a woman who lost everything. A woman who followed her mother-in-law into a foreign land with nothing but loyalty and a wild hope that God might still be writing her story. A woman who worked in the fields of a man named Boaz, a man who saw her, honored her, protected her. A man who didn't just give her charity. He gave her dignity. Sarah closed her eyes. "God, send me a Boaz. Not a husband. Just someone who sees me. Someone who reminds me I'm not invisible." 6. Boaz appears. His name was Marcus. He managed the building where Sarah cleaned offices at night. Most people walked past her like she was furniture. But Marcus always stopped. "Evening, Sarah. You get dinner yet?" "Here," the night crew left sandwiches. "Take a couple." One night, she broke down in the break room. The exhaustion. The fear. The weight of carrying Naomi and herself in a future that felt like a mountain she couldn't climb. Marcus found her there, face in her hands, sobbing into her knees. He didn't say anything. He just sat down across from her and waited. When she finally looked up, he said, "I don't know what you're carrying, but I know you're not invisible. I see you. God sees you. And I think you're stronger than you know." He started helping, driving Naomi to appointments when Sarah couldn't miss work, bringing groceries without being asked, fixing the leaky faucet in the apartment. Small things that felt like miracles. One evening, after Naomi was asleep, Marcus sat at the tiny kitchen table and said, "I know this might sound crazy, but I think God put you in my path for a reason. And I don't just mean so I could help you. I think you've been helping me remember what goodness looks like." Sarah's throat tightened. "I'm a mess, Marcus. I'm broke. I'm broken. I'm your faithfulness in motion," he said quietly. "And that's the most beautiful thing I've ever seen." 7. The turning. Naomi's scans came back clear 6 months later. The church gathered around her, weeping and praising, hands lifted like a forest of hope. Sarah stood in the back, watching, and felt something she hadn't felt in over a year. The faint, stubborn pulse of joy. Marcus asked her to dinner that night. Not as a friend, as something more. She panicked. "I'm not ready. I'm still broken. I still wake up crying sometimes. I don't know if I'll ever be whole again." He smiled gently. "Sarah, none of us are whole. That's why we need grace. That's why we need each other." He reached across the table and took her hand. "I'm not asking you to be perfect. I'm asking if you'll let me walk with you. Wherever you're going. However long it takes." She heard the echo of Ruth's words. "Where you go, I will go." And she whispered, "Yes." 8. Redemption. A year later, they stood in a small chapel. Naomi cried in the front row, healthy and radiant, a crown of silver hair framing her face. Sarah's mother held her hand and whispered, "God kept his promise." Marcus spoke his vows with tears in his eyes. "I vow to see you, to honor you, to remind you every day that you are loved, you are worthy, and you are never invisible." Sarah's voice shook as she answered, "I vow to trust again, to hope again, to believe that even in the ruins, God is building something beautiful." 9. The baby. 18 months later, Sarah held a daughter in her arms. They named her Ruth Naomi. At the dedication, the pastor read from Ruth 4. "Praise be to the Lord, who has not left you without a guardian redeemer. May he become famous throughout Israel. He will renew your life and sustain you in your old age." Naomi held the baby and wept. "I thought my story was over," she whispered. But God was just turning the page. Ending, Hope from the Ruins. Years later, people would ask Sarah how she survived. How she didn't give up when the marriage ended. How she kept going when the nights were long and the money was gone and the future looked like a wall she couldn't climb. She would smile, the kind of smile that carries scars and stars in equal measure, and say, "I stayed close to the people who needed me. I worked where God let me glean. I let kindness find me in the wreckage. And when hope knocked on my door, I opened it." The night he said, "I'm not coming home," she thought it was an ending. God called it the first line of a new chapter. If you're reading this and your life is in ruins, if the marriage ended, if the money's gone, if the mirror tells you you're invisible, hear this. God sees you. He's writing a story you can't see yet. He's putting Sarah in break rooms and Naomi in hospital beds and Hope in the spaces you thought were empty. He specializes in resurrection. And he's not finished with you. Not even close. Comment under his wings. Because when everything falls apart, God begins the most beautiful rebuilding of your life.